This is Dave again, coming at you from Grand Blanc, Michigan. Figured I'd do a video. I came out here to get some of this water off the floor, and it's a never-ending battle. I just wish it would stay below freezing, because the snow comes in here and then it just turns everything into a bunch of mush. And look at all that water. Oh, I don't like seeing it. But yeah, since I did on the last video, that was just for like the utility company stuff, but now I'm in the house. We've gotten all the interior walls in. We got the second flooring system in. I'll go up on top in a minute. You can see we had a lot of joist hangers. I did this just so we don't have beams coming down, because we could have put these beams in the wall, but when you walk in the door, you'd have like a beam there. And then technically, this one, I guess, it's just kind of like the bond, but we could have put that beam down below too. Then you'd have two beams you'd have to drywall around. And here's another one that goes through the living room. And it was a lot of joist hangering. But I haven't seen too many YouTube videos that talk too much about the hangers that are designed specifically for the I-joist. And I had to do a lot of research, and like as far as blocking them, like when you have to put blocks in, so I'll show you that in a minute. I kind of came up with a good way through like a construction forum, how to tie blocks in perpendicular to the joist, like an I-joist block to an I-joist. The inspectors don't really like to see toenails into the bottom or top web of the I-joist, just because they're supposed to be structural, so you're not really supposed to nail nails right into them. At least that's what I've been told. So these joists here, you use the joist hanger nails to hang it like you would on normal wood. And then all you do is you put liquid nails in at the bottom. And they pop in, and they actually have like these side fins on each side that's kind of like an arrow shooting a deer. You know, you can get it in, but you can't pull it out. Same kind of thing, it has like a kind of an arrow fin on each side. So when you hammer that down, the glue is pretty much holding it. It says nails not required. Not only does it say nails not required, it should say nails prohibited, or don't use nails, because I used nails on a couple in the floor, but it won't be a big deal, because actually there's going to be a wall being built under that LVL, so it's not going to have any structural. It was literally, I just hung them on the beam, so I didn't have to build the wall before I did the flat work in the basement, if that makes sense. But anyways, this is the way I found that you do blocks on these, and it seems like it works really good. It's a lot more cuts, takes a little bit more time, but let's see if I can get a good shot in here. Let's see. There we go. You can kind of see it, how I ran them in over there under that LVL, so that's supported. So that's just a matter of shooting them through the back. You can shoot through the back into the cord. Top and bottom cord, we usually put 2 nails in. It doesn't split it or anything. But right here, you can see that if you put the joist in, there'll still be a little bit of an air gap between the OSB webbings. So we just cut a board that ended up being like 7 7/8 that fits inside the web, and you just shoot 2 number 8 nails through it into the OSB, like on an angle. If you do it at a slight angle, they don't even shoot in through the back. You might see like 1/8 of an inch. But then what you do is, once those are in there, you slide them up tight to the web, and then you just shoot. We haven't even shot the nails down here. You can see that it's not really touching there, so we might use some type of a clamp to pull those in. And then you just shoot through the bottom of it into the block. And it has a tendency not to split that way. And even if that splits, it's just the block. You're not actually putting in a bunch of splits. You know, if you just shoot a toenail like this on each side of that, like that, you're going to be splitting a whole bunch on the actual main truss or the main I-joist, and that's not good. So I saw this somewhere, and it kind of stinks a little bit, because you have to cut a block on each side, and it does take a lot longer, but you can see it actually looks pretty decent. It's much stronger. You can tell they hold in real good. And so if anyone is looking for how you put blocks in using I-joist, I think this is a pretty good way. Feel free to comment if there's another way that other people do, or you know, if the inspectors do let you just nail them in. But in this area, I was told that they don't really like to see the nails in the long span of the joist. So let's go upstairs real quick. I want to do a video eventually where I show you the actual print, the truss drawing. But this took us a little while. I think from when we started joisting the second floor to getting it sheeted and getting it to this point, it's been probably about a week and a half, which is pretty good for basically two guys that kind of know what they're doing. And this upstairs is a little bit complicated. You have 4 different elevations of walls. Like that one there, it's only 23.5 inches tall. This will be a storage room, so it literally starts off and it slants up. But by the time you get to this ridge up there, I believe you're going to be 12 feet high, because this is a 36-foot span with a 7.5 pitch. So with a 7.5 pitch starting off of the 2 feet, and it goes up. And then, since technically the center of the ridge centers out, just imagine 7 feet, 8 feet away from this wall I'm staying on, right there is where the post sits. That marks the 23.5 inch elevation to that other short wall, if that makes sense. That's why this wall is a little bit taller, because you'll have trusses that end here, and then you have these triangle trusses that continue out that way. The reason why we did it that way is because that way we can actually have a higher ceiling in here for a bathroom, because it still starts at a 7.5 pitch this way. So, I mean, about 1.5 foot away from this wall, my head's already like 6 inches higher, or the roof will be 6 inches higher than, and I'm 6'1", so I figured that'd be good enough. And then those tall walls, the scissor trusses go up across this way, and then they come up to this post, and then there's this big square girder truss that's a 2-ply that goes across that span. And then these trusses that slope up, slope down, and then land up on top of that girder. So we're gonna have plenty of height up in this area, like it's gonna be really high. And then basically, it was kind of, once we understood how to read the elevations, that you actually take the elevations, you just measure down to the first rough floor is how they do it. You just measure down. And the reason why I say I have 4 elevations is you have that elevation, you have this elevation that's the same height as the dormer elevations, then you have that elevation, and then really then you have this elevation, which is the same as this, but that wall ended up being a little bit lower than this elevation, so we still had to figure out the difference there. And you know, it's not a big deal, but you want to make sure it's done right, and pretty much to the 16th, because it took us a whole day to build it. It's down there, and we're planning on just getting a sky truck when the trusses come here. It'll be the first thing we do. Just drive in here, drop it down here, and let the crane or the sky truck. I think I might go sky truck, because that way I can use it at my own pace. And if I end up needing the sky truck as long as I think, the crane would cost me thousands of dollars, because he'd be sitting here for a few days, because there's a lot of stuff here. I mean, a lot of guys think they could get this done in a half a day, but there are so many trusses in this, and I think I might be short-handed. There actually might be as little as 3 of us here, and that means there's 2 guys setting the trusses, and I'm not liking the idea of that. But with this economy we have now, everyone's busy, and I can't find anybody that has any skill at all. But we're gonna try to get through it. But what else? Oh yeah, in construction, I always try to think ahead as much as you can, because sometimes if you don't, it causes problems in the future. Like for instance, it's a minor detail, but in this post, I was thinking, well, in the finished, I might want to wrap this with some black walnut or some type of fancy wood. And so what I did is I made sure that this is a 5.5 inch by 3.5 inch LVL post, because there's going to be a lot of weight here. So I figured instead of just putting 3 2x6s, an LVL post is much stronger. Then we needed some type of a jack stud to hold this, because this is going to be kind of a 4-foot opening, like banister, and then a big balcony here with another little 4-foot window. So it'll be like railing, big long railing, and then 4-foot railing here. I just want to make sure that if you put this here, 1/2 inch packer and then 1.5 inch jack, this is exactly like 5.5 by 5.5 now. So now it's basically a 6x6 post. And that just makes it easier in the finish. So you already have your post exactly the dimensions you want, and it's ready for finish trim or whatever you're doing. Yeah, so this is, you know, we're proud of this because this was kind of complicated to get all this in. There's a lot of LVLs, a lot of joist hangers, like I said. And we're getting ready. We have a couple loose ends. We haven't built the garage walls and the headers yet, because if you step in that out there, your foot sinks to your knee and basically poop. It's just really loose, wet mud. And I can't believe it because we're in late January and usually we are frozen to the core right now. I'm just hoping that by the time we get the trusses here in another couple weeks, we'll have some more frost. So anyways, we have to finish the top plates. Some of the top plates are missing here just because it was easier to leave them off with depending on what wall we're building. We have to do all the top plates, build all that, brace some walls and stuff. And then last but not least is we have to go through the whole house and mark where every single joist goes, because there's so many different joists. I not only want to mark layout, I want to mark exactly what joist it is. A2, you know, it goes from like A1 all the way to, I think it goes up to K. So just imagine it's like A1, A2, it goes all the way to like A9 or A10, all the way up to K with the different types of trusses. There's like 70 trusses, so I think they skip. Some of them are like K1, 2. I don't know how they do it, but there's like a GGR one, which I think it's just girder or something like that. But the biggest truss I've got is the one that goes from that outside corner to this inside corner right here. It's a 3-ply, and with all of them nailed together, the 3-ply truss will be 918 pounds. So that one that'll be fun to get in there. But anyways, yeah, this is the update. And I just, like I said, came over here just to shovel off a bunch of slush and ice and water off the deck. But it looks pretty cool. It's a nice view from up here. It won't be as good of a view. This is about as good as a view you'll get because then the house will be built and you can only see out the windows. But it's pretty nice up here. It's, you know, it definitely tests your heights because I don't like getting up past 10 feet. When I was younger, I didn't care too much, but now it's like, and we're going to be going up like 30, 35 feet. But we have an idea of how we're going to keep ourselves safe. If we're way up there, nothing's worth dying. So we'll have the lanyards, the ropes, the whole 9 yards. So anyways, just wanted to give you an update and actually show you where we're at. And hopefully in the future, I can do more videos of us actually working. But I'm just so busy. I'm just trying to film and talk about certain things that I had a hard time finding on the internet about things that I've learned, so that way I can have one extra video that talks about it. Anyways, this is Dave from Grand Blanc signing off.